The night was colder than it should have been for October. The road curled like a black snake through the misty hills of Himachal, slick with rain and moonlight. A battered white SUV climbed upward, its headlights cutting through the fog. Inside, 5 college friends laughed too loudly, the way people do when they're hiding unease. Raya was behind the wheel, fearless, sarcastic, always the one who took charge. Next to her sat Karan, her boyfriend, whose playlist of 90s rock filled the car. In the back were Mehul, Tia, and Arjun, 3 more misfits chasing one last adventure before graduation. They were on their way to Rudra Hill, a remote area rumored to have an abandoned British-era boarding school. The plan was simple. Spend Halloween night there, take photos, film a vlog, and become famous on YouTube. "Dude, people vanish there," Arjun said, scrolling through Reddit posts on his phone. One story said the last headmaster hung himself from the bell tower. Rhea smirked. Good for him. Maybe he finally got out of detention. They all laughed, except Tia. She'd been staring out the foggy window for the last 20 minutes. "Someone's following us," she said quietly. Karen frowned. "What?" She pointed at the side mirror. Through the veil of rain, faint headlights glowed behind them, steady, distant, but always there. Raya checked her rear view. "Probably just another traveler." "No," Tia whispered. "It's been behind us since the petrol station. And it doesn't get closer." The laughter faded. Only the rain against the windshield filled the silence. After a few more miles, they turned off onto a narrow dirt road. The glowing eyes of the car behind them vanished into the trees. "See?" Rhea said. "No stalkers. Just your overactive imagination." But as they drove deeper into the woods, the fog grew thicker. The headlights seemed to fade before they even hit the road. Karan leaned forward, squinting. "Wait," he said. "Do you guys hear that?" A faint sound, like bells far away, echoed through the trees. It wasn't a church bell. It was faster, uneven, almost like footsteps on metal. Tia covered her ears. "Please stop, please." "Hey, it's just wind," Rhea said quickly, though her hands tightened on the wheel. The SUV suddenly jerked. Thud. Everyone screamed. Rhea slammed the brakes. The car skidded to a stop on the muddy road. "What the hell was that?" Mehul shouted. They climbed out, their flashlights cutting through the fog. The road was empty. No animal, no branch, nothing. But the mud bore 2 deep footprints right in front of the car. Barefoot, human, and steaming. As if whoever, or whatever, had been standing there was still warm. Arjun stepped closer. "It's fresh." Then a whisper floated through the fog. "Turn back." The voice came from nowhere and everywhere at once. They froze. Rhea grabbed Tia's hand. "Everyone, get in the car. Now." As they scrambled inside, the rain suddenly stopped. The forest went silent. No wind, no insects, no sound. And in that eerie stillness, a faint knocking started from somewhere outside. Knock, knock, knock. Slow, deliberate, on the car door. Rhea didn't wait. She floored the accelerator. The SUV roared up the road, mud flying, hearts pounding, until finally they reached a clearing. In the distance, half swallowed by fog and ivy, stood an enormous stone building. The old boarding school. Its windows were black. Its bell tower loomed crooked against the moon. And as the headlights swept over its gates, the words carved into the iron shone for a moment, before the rust swallowed them again. St. Rudra Academy for Boys. Closed, 1971. Rhea exhaled shakily. "Well, guys," she said, forcing a grin, "welcome to Rudra Hill." But from the darkness beyond the gate, the same whisper rose again. Softer this time. "Welcome back." The gate creaked as Raya pushed it open. The metal was cold and slick with moss. Behind it, the overgrown path led to the massive structure that had once been St. Rudra Academy. "Man, this place is a total horror movie cliché," Mehul muttered, trying to sound brave. "Perfect for Halloween," Rhea replied, forcing a grin that didn't quite reach her eyes. Their flashlights flickered over cracked walls, shattered windows, and faded signboards. The paint peeled off like shedding skin. Somewhere inside, something dripped. Slow, steady, rhythmic. Drip, drip, drip. "Water?" Arjun whispered. "Blood, more like." Karan joked, but even he didn't laugh. They pushed through the main doors, which groaned open like something alive. The smell hit them first, damp, rot, and something metallic beneath it. The grand hallway stretched ahead, lined with portraits of old headmasters. Dusty frames, eyes painted in oil. But somehow, they looked wet, watching. Tia's voice trembled. "Guys, why are the candles lit?" Everyone froze. At the far end of the hall, a chandelier hung low, and every candle in it flickered with a soft orange flame. "No one lives here," Rhea whispered. "Then who lit them?" No one answered. They split up. Because, of course, they did. Rhea and Karan went upstairs toward the dormitories. Tia, Mehul, and Arjun explored the ground floor. As Rhea climbed the spiral staircase, she ran her fingers along the railing. It was warm. Halfway up, she noticed something scratched into the wall. Dozens of small marks, deep and ragged. At first, she thought they were random. But as her flashlight steadied, she realized they were fingernail marks. And beneath them, faint words carved in shaky letters. "He comes when you knock." Karen shivered. Creepy. But probably just an urban legend, right? Rhea didn't reply. She was staring at the door at the end of the corridor. Room 217. It was slightly open, as if waiting. Meanwhile, on the ground floor, Tia stopped by an old classroom. Desks overturned, chalk scattered, walls stained with mildew. But something about the blackboard made her step closer. It wasn't blank. In chalk, written fresh, was a single sentence, greater than "Who knocked first?" She dropped her flashlight. The beam rolled across the room and landed on a pair of shoes behind the teacher's desk. "Mehul?" she whispered. No answer. She bent down slowly, her heart hammering. There was no one there. Just the shoes. And inside them, feet, not attached to anything. Tia screamed. Upstairs, Rhea and Karan heard it echo through the halls. "Come on," Rhea shouted, running toward the staircase. But halfway down, she stopped. Karan nearly bumped into her. "What now?" Rhea pointed to the lobby below. All 5 portraits of the headmasters, the ones they'd passed earlier, had changed. Every face now had its eyes scratched out. And beneath them, written in fresh red paint, were new words. "Knock 3 times to see him." A cold gust swept through the corridor. The doors all down the hall slammed shut at once. Bang, bang, bang. "Okay, that's it," Mehul said, trembling. "We're leaving." Right now, but when they turned to the main door, it was gone. Just a solid wall where the entrance used to be. Tia sobbed. "This isn't real. It can't be real." Rhea forced herself to stay calm. "Listen, nobody knock on anything, got it?" And that's when they heard it. From somewhere deep within the school. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. The bell tower's clangs echoed through the night, metallic and hollow. Each ring felt closer than the last, as if the sound itself was crawling down the walls. "Everyone stay together," Ria shouted. But the moment she turned, Arjun was gone. "Arjun?" Karan called. "Bro, this isn't funny." No answer, only the bell's echo, and a faint whisper beneath it, a whisper that sounded like laughter. They hurried down a narrow hallway lined with lockers. The rusted doors rattled as if something inside was trying to escape. Tia clung to Ria's arm, whispering, "We should have never come here. We shouldn't have." Suddenly, all the locker doors burst open at once. Bang! 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 The sound was deafening. A cold gust swept through, scattering papers across the hall. Mehul's flashlight flickered, and for a second, they all saw it. A shadow standing at the far end of the corridor. Tall, crooked, unmoving, its head tilted slightly like it was listening. Then the lights went out. Darkness. Complete and absolute. Someone was breathing heavily. Fast, panicked. Then a whisper. "Who's holding my hand?" Tia froze. She wasn't holding anyone's hand. A second later, something cold and wet brushed against her fingers. She screamed. The flashlight came back on, and the hallway was empty. Except for one thing. On the wall, scrawled in dripping black letters, "He hears you." They stumbled into the old library, rows of dusty books, half-collapsed shelves, cobwebs thick as curtains. The air smelled like burnt paper. Karan tried to light a candle from his pocket lighter, but the flame kept dying. "Guys," he whispered, "how did Arjun even disappear?" "There's nowhere to go." Ria knelt beside a fallen chair. Something shiny lay beneath it. Arjun's phone. She unlocked it. The last video was still recording. The footage was dark, shaky. Arjun's face appeared. Eyes wide, whispering, "There's someone in the mirrors. They're not us." Then a reflection moved behind him. Not his reflection, someone else's. The video ended in static. The phone slipped from Ria's hands. They heard footsteps, slow, dragging, circling them. "Arjun?" Mehul whispered. "If that's you, say something." The footsteps stopped. Then a voice, Arjun's voice, came from right behind them. "I said don't look." They spun around. No one there. But in the glass case behind them, 5 reflections stared back. Only 4 people stood in the room. Panic erupted. They ran, through corridors, past classrooms, past the stairwell. Every direction led to another hallway, another turn. The layout kept changing. Doors that once opened now led to brick walls. It was like the building was alive, shifting with every breath they took. At last, they burst into what looked like an old chapel. Wooden pews, a broken cross, and on the altar, a mirror taller than any of them, covered in dust and spiderwebs. Tia approached it slowly. Something inside her whispered that she knew this place. As she reached out to wipe the mirror clean, her reflection didn't move. "Guys," she whispered, stepping back. Her reflection tilted its head, smiling. Then it raised its hand and knocked 3 times on the glass. Knock, knock, knock. The mirror shattered outward, spraying shards like ice. And from the cracks, something crawled through. Pale hands, black eyes, a mouth that opened far too wide. Tia's scream echoed until it wasn't hers anymore. Ria fell to her knees, trembling, blood pounding in her ears. "What's happening to us?" she cried. Mehul looked at the wall. Painted there, in red, fresh and glistening, were 5 names. Theirs. 4 crossed out. Only 1 remained untouched. Ria. The school was bleeding. Crimson light poured through the cracks in the ceiling as the clouds outside broke open, revealing a blood moon, glowing monstrous and low over the hill. The air tasted of rust and earth. Every wall seemed to breathe. Rhea, Karain, and Mehul stumbled into what looked like the headmaster's office, the only room untouched by decay. Books lined the walls, candles flickered in silver holders, and on the desk sat a black ledger, its pages open as if waiting. Tia was gone. Arjun was gone. Only 3 remained. Mehul, trembling, flipped open the ledger. These are names, he whispered. Students. Dozens of them. All marked. He froze. All marked deceased. The last entry was dated October 31st, 1971. Next to it, written in red ink, were the words, "The ritual failed. The house is hungry." Karan frowned. What ritual? Before Raya could answer, the floor creaked. Someone, or something, was walking in the corridor outside. Slow, deliberate, dragging steps. Mehul shut the book. We have to hide. They ducked behind the desk as the footsteps entered the office. Through a gap, Rhea saw bare feet leaving wet prints on the floor. Footprints that hissed and steamed. The air thickened. The candles dimmed. And then, a man's voice, deep, echoing, broken, filled the room. New students. The shadow moved past the desk. Its head tilted sharply like a puppet on a string. Rhea's breath hitched as she saw its face in the candlelight, pale, blistered, and stitched across the mouth. The uniform it wore was that of an old headmaster. The same face she'd seen in the portrait downstairs. The same one whose name was signed on the ledger. Headmaster Rudra. He turned toward the desk. The sound of flesh tearing filled the air as he smiled through the stitches. Knock, he rasped, and be remembered. Karan couldn't hold his fear. He bolted from behind the desk and swung a chair. The figure barely flinched. The chair splintered, and Rudra's hand shot out, seizing Karan by the throat. Discipline, the voice croaked, is everything. The lights exploded, the room filled with screams, one human, one not. When Rhea opened her eyes again, Karan was gone. Only the ledger remained, open to a new page. A name had appeared in blood. Karan Mehta, expelled. Mehul grabbed Raya's arm. We're next. We have to get out before that thing finds us. But the building had changed again. The hallway outside stretched into infinity, lit only by the red glow of the blood moon pouring through shattered windows. As they ran, they saw the truth etched on the walls. Old photographs pinned under cracked glass. Children in uniforms, smiling. But each face was crossed out, everyone except the headmasters. And beneath them, a newspaper clipping. 1971. St. Rudra Academy closed after 57 students vanish. Headmaster found dead in Bell Tower. Investigation inconclusive. Rhea's hands shook as she read the fine print. Locals claim the school performed secret rituals to bind souls for eternal youth. The ritual required 7 offerings. Mehul whispered, We're the 7th group to come here. Rhea's stomach dropped. 7 offerings, every time someone knocks 3 times. The bell tower tolled again, once, twice, thrice. Knock, knock, knock. The hallway floor split open. From beneath the boards, hands began to claw upward, dozens of them, ghostly pale, dragging themselves out of the dark. Faces emerged. The missing students, hollow-eyed and whispering in unison, greater than "Stay with us." Mehul screamed as one of the hands grabbed his ankle, pulling him down into the floor. Rhea reached for him, but his face was already vanishing into the shadows. His last word was a sob. Don't knock. The floor sealed shut. Now only Rhea remained. Blood dripped from her hair. Her heart pounded so hard it hurt. She ran through the halls, past flickering lights and whispering doors, until she reached the staircase to the bell tower. The stairs spiraled endlessly upward. Every few steps, she saw flashes. Arjun's reflection in the mirrors, Tia's scream, Karan's hand reaching out before the dark swallowed him. And then she reached the top. The bell hung above her, rusted and huge. Beneath it stood the headmaster's shadow, waiting. He smiled through his torn mouth. "You came back, Raya." "Just like before? What are you talking about?" she gasped. He tilted his head. "You were one of them." "Long ago. You knocked first," her breath hitched. Memories, flashes of another life, children in uniforms, blood on her hands, laughter turning to screams. Rhea stumbled backward. "No. That's not true." "It is," Rudra whispered. "You knocked and you brought them all back." The bell began to swing on its own. The rope lashed out like a serpent, wrapping around her wrist. Rhea's heart pounded like a war drum. The bell tower swayed above her, the rope slashing through the air like a living thing. The headmaster's stitched smile stretched impossibly wide. "Knock. 3 times, he hissed. "Your choice." Rhea's hands trembled as she reached for the rope. Every instinct screamed, "Don't do it." But the memory flashed again. Tia, Arjun, Karan, Mehul, lost forever. If she didn't obey, would she be next? Her mind raced. She counted silently. 1, 2, 3. Then she struck the bell. Once. A deafening clang echoed through the school, shaking the walls and rattling the cobwebbed chandeliers. She struck again. And the 3rd time. The bell's sound tore through the night, splitting the shadows like a blade. Everything went silent. The air grew heavy. The blood moon faded behind clouds. Rhea looked around. The headmaster was gone. The ropes sagged lifelessly. The floorboards were normal again, and she saw them. Arjun, Tia, Karan, Mehul, pale, exhausted, but alive, standing in the hallway staring at her. Their eyes were wide, haunted, but grateful. "Rhea," Karan whispered. You did it." She exhaled shakily. I just followed the rules." But as relief flooded her, something deep in the shadows shifted. From the cracked bell tower window, a face peered down. Pale, stitched, smiling. The headmaster's reflection in the fog. And a whisper carried across the tower, greater than "Knock again, or you'll never leave." Rhea's stomach dropped. The friends backed toward the main door. The building around them groaned like it was breathing, stretching impossibly. The halls twisted, the windows closed, and the fog poured in through the shattered roof. "We have to run," Mehul shouted. They sprinted down the stairs, the air icy, every shadow stretching fingers toward them. They burst through the main hall, and the front doors appeared for the first time since they'd arrived. Outside, the forest was silent. The fog had lifted slightly, revealing the twisted trees of Rudra Hill. They ran toward the SUV, never looking back. As they drove down the muddy hill road, the headlights caught something at the edge of the forest. The school? It was still there. Windows black, ivy crawling like veins. And at the bell tower, faintly, impossibly, a hand pressed against the glass, smiling through stitched lips. Rhea's grip on the wheel tightened. She didn't speak. She didn't breathe. And behind them, in the rearview mirror, the faint outline of another car, its headlights glowing, following them. A whisper drifted over the wind.